Have you ever walked away from someone you thought you couldn't live without, only to realize they weren't just breaking your heart, they were breaking you? That moment when silence feels louder than their voice, and you're left questioning who you are without them. That's the hidden wound of a toxic relationship. And if you're here, you probably know that pain too well. Welcome to the influencer trap, the place where we expose manipulation tactics, reveal the truths that most people are too afraid to talk about, and teach you how to protect not only your mind, but your soul. Today we're diving into something most people never fully understand: how to heal after a toxic relationship without losing yourself in the process. This isn't about moving on fast, pretending everything's fine, or numbing the pain. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that were stolen, piece by piece, until you finally feel whole again. Here's the truth no one tells you. Leaving a toxic partner doesn't end the damage. In fact, the real battle begins after they're gone, because manipulation isn't just about control, it rewires the way you think, the way you trust, and the way you see yourself. That's why so many people jump into the next relationship too quickly or lose themselves in distractions, hoping the pain will fade, but the scars remain. Healing isn't about forgetting what happened, it's about understanding it, so it never happens to you again. Think about it this way. Imagine you break a bone. Even after it's set, you can't just run the next day. You need rehab, patience, and strength training. Emotional wounds work the same way. If you skip the healing process, you risk breaking in the same place again. That's why today, I want to walk you through the steps of real recovery. The first step is facing the truth without sugarcoating it. Toxic people leave behind confusion because they mix love with control, kindness with cruelty. One day they made you feel like you were everything, the next day like you were nothing. That emotional whiplash keeps you hooked. So, when you finally walk away, your mind keeps replaying the good moments as if they outweigh the bad. But healing begins when you stop romanticizing the highs and start recognizing the manipulation for what it was: a trap designed to keep you chained. The second step is reclaiming your identity. In a toxic relationship, your sense of self gets chipped away slowly. Maybe you stopped wearing clothes you liked because they didn't approve. Maybe you silenced your opinions just to avoid another fight. Maybe you started doubting your dreams because they told you they weren't realistic. All of those are little deaths of who you really are. Healing means bringing those pieces back to life. Start with small things. Wear what you want. Reconnect with hobbies you abandoned. Rebuild friendships you were isolated from. These aren't just activities, they're acts of rebellion against the control you once lived under. Next comes the hardest part: forgiving yourself, not them, yourself. Because deep down, many people blame themselves for staying too long, for not leaving sooner, for ignoring red flags. But understand this: manipulation works because it clouds your judgment. You didn't stay because you were weak, you stayed because you were made to believe you couldn't survive without them. Forgiving yourself is the key to freedom. Without it, you'll carry invisible chains long after they're gone. And finally, you need to learn how to rebuild trust, not with others, but with yourself. One of the most damaging effects of a toxic relationship is you start asking, how could I let this happen? Can I ever trust my instincts again? The answer is yes, but it takes practice. Every time you set a boundary, every time you say no when something doesn't feel right, every time you listen to your gut instead of your fear, you're teaching yourself that you can trust you again. Healing is not a straight line. Some days you'll feel strong, other days you'll feel broken all over again. But each time you get back up, you're building resilience. And here's the beauty: when you fully heal, you don't just go back to who you were before, you become stronger, sharper, wiser. You become someone who can see manipulation from miles away and walk away without hesitation. So, if you're listening to this right now, know this: you are not defined by the person who hurt you. You are defined by the person you choose to become after. Healing isn't about getting back what you lost. It's about discovering a version of yourself you didn't even know existed, the version that is unshakable, unstoppable, and unbreakable. If this message hit you, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to The Influencer Trap, because every week, we're tearing down the lies manipulators use to control you and building up the strength you need to never fall into their trap again. Your healing starts here.